Mini Lesson 4, Drafting Strong Endings. We have been working hard on our realistic fiction stories. We have been writing drafts and making our character face real problems. Yesterday, we learned how to add dialogue to our stories to make our realistic fiction stories come to life. Today, we are going to learn how to create a strong ending. Strong endings are important because they help the reader to know that the story has ended. Let me show you what I mean. Today we are going to refer to this chart for strong endings. A lot of times in our realistic fiction stories, we will have three main types of endings. The first kind is that the author will use action or dialogue, different thoughts, images, and a whole story reminder that will make a lasting impression on the reader. Sometimes an author will resolve a problem, reach a goal, or teach a lesson in the book. And the final strong ending is using a circular ending, which would mean that it kind of is similar to the first line of the beginning of the book, or to use a strong line that's used throughout the story. So now we are going to look at our mentor text to determine what types of endings we are seeing in our books. So in the first example, I'm using the story The Sandwich Swap. The first two pages in the story sound like this. It all began with a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and it ended with a hummus sandwich. So thinking in my head, okay, that was the beginning, and then this page over here is the final page. And that's how it all began, with a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and ended with a hummus and pita sandwich. So this is using a circular ending because it's similar to the very beginning of the book. And so this author chose to make a strong ending by using the same line from the beginning of the story at the end of her story to show that the story has actually ended. Another example is using the story The Relatives Came. In this book, we have different relatives going to somebody's house and they're visiting for like a little vacation. The final line in this story is, "And when they were finally home in Virginia, they crawled into their silent, soft beds and dreamed about the next summer." So for this ending, this author used a strong ending by using different thoughts and used a beautiful image in the picture. And they also used some strong words like saying that they were finally home and that they were dreaming about the next summer. So it's making that lasting impression for the reader to know that the story has ended. In the story, Ruby the Copycat, the author does the same thing. And at noon, Ruby and Angela hopped home for lunch. This is a really good picture image that we can imagine in our head about how Angela and Ruby were hopping home, because in this story, Ruby hops around the classroom and makes friends with everybody and it becomes herself. And so this makes that lasting impression that Angela and Ruby have become friends and that they are going to continue to be friends and not worry about Ruby copying her anymore. In the story Peter's Chair, the author resolves a problem, because in this story, remember, we have Peter who is really frustrated with his family about how they are taking his baby things and giving them to his new baby sister. But at the end of the story, the author says, Peter sat in a grown-up chair. His father sat next to him. "Daddy," said Peter, "let's paint the little chair pink for Susie." And they did. So this shows that the main character, Peter, is resolving his problem by being willing to give up his baby things for his new baby sister. And he also learns a lesson to share his things and to not be selfish. Boys and girls, today I would like for you to turn and talk about possible ways to end a story. Very good job. I heard some great examples of somebody saying that they were wanting to use their same line from the beginning of their story to at the end of their story, so they're talking about using a circular ending. I also heard somebody say that they were going to use a really nice image on their last page and kind of show how the two characters in their story are doing something to solve a problem. Endings to our realistic fiction stories matter. While you are writing, try different strong endings and decide which one you like best.